All right, everybody, welcome to the first ever Button Pushers United Ableton tutorial. We're going to talk about a couple of different things here, primarily regarding effects, kind of the ways that you can integrate them, use them in your own productions, and there's a number of different ways we can do that, so let's just go ahead and jump in. So I've got my track open right here called Teshuva that it just released, and I've kind of got a watered down version of it for us to kind of play around with so we can listen to some of the ways that I use the effects here. So let's go ahead, let's set up a clip that we can listen to, and let's jump right in. So right now I've got all the effects turned off, except for just kind of what I left on the channels themselves. So we're going to talk about how to kind of throw on some more of those and kind of hear the differences. So let's go ahead and just listen to this little bridge section real quick. Cool. So that's just what we're listening to right now without too many effects on. And we're going to go ahead and jump into just slapping effects right on. And I've got some plugins that you may or may not have, so I'm going to try and stick to just Ableton audio effects. So as you just saw me do right there, go ahead. What you're going to do is you're going to hit this button up here in the top left. I'm going to go to audio effects. It's going to list all the audio effects within Ableton. So some of the most popular ones would definitely be things like reverb. Let's go ahead and just take this square guy here and just solo him. So I've got this instrument here that's giving me that that saw kind of like 8-bit type tone, and I've got it in this group right here. And so let's go ahead. Let's just, one of the most popular effects you can use would probably be like reverb. So let's go ahead. Let's just slap a quick reverb on there. I'm going to use the Ableton one. I've got a couple of others that I like, but let's just go ahead and take a listen to it. Yeah, you can kind of hear it open up. It's got a little more space now from that, and you can kind of regulate how much of that you really want. Go ahead and you would use this dry wet button down here. So if you want it less reverby, that's a technical term, you would just dial that down. See, now we're right back where we started, but if we crank it up, kind of sounds like it's echoing in a room or something. And then when you get all the way to 100% on dry wet, you can hear it kind of washes out. I don't usually recommend doing that unless that's the tone you're really going for. And what we're doing here is we're putting it directly on the track itself right here. So basically what you're going to end up with is that the reverb is directly on the track, meaning you're not going to get the dry sound itself. Now, we're going to get a little bit just from dialing this here. But what a lot of people like to do is to use send effects. And so let's go ahead, let's turn this reverb off. Now I've already got a reverb here set up in my send effect. Let's go ahead and turn these on as well. By the way, to multiple solo tracks, it's just you hold control and then you click the button. The same for record too. So I've got the Waves True Verb here. I really like it. You might not have it, but pretty much all the things that you can do in here can also be done with the Ableton Reverb. I just kind of like the tone of this one a little more. So the difference between putting it directly on the track and on the return track over here is that now they're separated. So you have the instrument and you have the reverb itself, and they're going to run on separate channels. So you don't have to sacrifice that dry sound that we had in the square sound originally. Now we can have both. And the way we do that is, I can kind of walk you through it right here. So essentially what happens is I've got a send track right here, and you can also go ahead and insert a return track. So the way you can do that, you can just do right click, insert return track, or Control Alt T like this. And that'll just bring up another one for you. And you'll notice that it also brought up another knob over here. So now we can send to this return that currently has nothing on it. But we're not going to use it right now. I'm just going to show you how to kind of drop something on here. So again, it's the same principle as we did dropping an effect onto our instrument track. Same deal. So you're just going to go over here to audio effects, come into reverb, and you can open it up right there. But I'm going to stick with my true verb for now. So what you would do to kind of get this channel sending over to this return track is you're just going to use the corresponding knob to the channel. So right here it says A, and over here it says A for the return track. So let's go ahead, let's start it up. You can hear maybe some other things were in there as well. Yeah, you can hear the drums are in it. Let's go ahead and turn this off, huh? This tutorial's going great. Cool, so now we just have the square sound. So for us to hear the square sound being affected by this reverb, we would use the A knob, and we'll just turn that up. You can see the levels actually starting to pop up a little bit on the return track. And so now you can kind of hear we still have that dry sound that we liked originally about this this kind of like 8-bit synth. But now we also have the space, and we're not getting just a washed out version. We have them mixed together. And you can decide if you want that higher or lower. I usually have it just a little bit under. Typically, I try to get as close to what I'm envisioning or hearing in my head with the dry sound, and try not to rely too heavily on effects to get me there. But so right now I just have it maxed out, so we have two different tracks, and I can actually isolate this. And you can hear just the reverb version, which is really nice. But then we can also add in that dry sound. And it kind of gives it that punch, which is going to help it get through the mix. And so now if we go back and listen to it and everything. Yeah, it's starting to sound nice. Very cool. I dropped all the reverb off of my snare and my toms, and I'm gonna want that back. Kind of show you guys more of what we're doing here. Yeah, these guys are way up there. Also, you see me going here into my drums right here and sending the these tracks back to the reverb. I always find that plenty of reverb does the cymbals a lot of good, and if you really want to open up the tone of your kit, make it sound big like you're in a stadium, sending it to one of these reverb tracks is also super helpful, especially on these toms. In fact, if you were listening to it right then and there, we can listen to it again. Yeah, see, that crash already sounds way better. And you can hear the difference from before. Yeah, it really echoes and it makes it give it that that big boomy sound. That's a technical term. So another popular thing to do with effects would be to use a delay. So as you can see here, I already have a delay on a return track. I just have the Ableton delay. I got it synced to left 6. I just experimented with it, and I think it sounds good like that. It's just my opinion. And you can start to kind of get with it being in the return track, you can get a sound that doesn't sacrifice your original dry sound. And that's why I always have 2 or 3 send effects just always ready to go on these return tracks. So let's go ahead, let's listen to that square again. Now let's send it to this delay. A lot of times what'll happen, you'll hear, and I'll show you an example here. I'll go ahead and copy this, and I'll put it directly on this sound. So it's great that we have that delay now, but what if we don't want it to be as strong or as powerful? What if we just want it to hang in the background some? That might be more appropriate for our mix. So let's go ahead, let's delete this. And we already have it here, so let's just go ahead and send it to that return track. So now we kind of have both, and you can hear this, like, it kind of creates this like phasing kind of effect, which is really interesting. Very cool. And last but not least, I just recently started experimenting with this, is using chorus on a send effect. Sometimes I use choruses to kind of smoothen out a sound, or if I just want that chorus type effect. But lately I find them useful for kind of smoothing out a sound that might be kind of harsh, or kind of gluing it together. I know usually compression would be for something like that. That's for another tutorial, but I find that having a chorus really kind of blends the sound together. So we have two ways to apply this, right? So we can go ahead and we can use this chorus. We can slap it, get this out of here. We can slap it directly onto our 8-bit synth, and you can listen to the difference right now. So yeah, you can definitely hear the chorus because it's all the way up. And we could dial it down with the dry wet. But now we don't have the dry sound by itself anymore. We just have this chorused out synth, which I really like, but I don't think I'm going to use it. Maybe I'll use it for another song. But we can go ahead and turn this off, and we can send it to this chorus right here by turning up the C. And see, now I'm like, hey, maybe that's a little too intense. I can dial it down to right here. That's sounding pretty good. And then if I need to boost it or dial it back anymore, I can also go ahead and turn it down. Now the beauty of the beauty of these effects here is that now the beauty of these return tracks also is that just like the audio effect racks in Ableton that you can build, I typically like to kind of treat these like those, and so maybe I'll load on more than one kind of effect. So let's go ahead, let's add to this this chorus that we're using, and it might be fun. Maybe we just throw on what is it called? The Redux. This is a really interesting effect. It kind of creates like a like it starts crushing your sound. Like it starts making it sound like it's really dirty and crunchy, and it basically just breaks down the sound wave. I'm a decent producer, but I don't always know all the technical terms. I just kind of know what things sound like and know how to use the tools. So forgive me if I don't know exactly what it does, but I understand it has something to do with kind of this bit reduction right here and kind of distorting the wave. So now we've got it. Now we've got this return track. It's got chorus and the Redux on it. So let's go ahead and take a listen to what that might sound like. So right now I don't have it turned up at all, and maybe we can just kind of experiment with the downsampling. I find that the hard setting is usually just too intense. Go with the soft one. So let's go ahead and turn that up. Yeah, you can start to hear it change already. But it's so cool because we're not having to sacrifice that crispy, dry sound that we have on the channel itself. Because if we were to just drop this on there, it would sound terrible. We wouldn't have any of the original integrity of the sound at all. So that's where return tracks are really, really useful. Awesome, guys. So I hope that you found that useful. Kind of a long-winded tutorial here. Gonna try and tighten these up a little bit. Hopefully some editing will be useful for that. But that's kind of what I do with the return tracks these days. So there's numerous ways and lots of effects you can use and lots of different ways to use them. But those are the differences between using them on the channel and using them as a send effect. So till next time, guys, do more than press play.